Welcome back here to the Twin Cities Film Fest Red Carpet. I'm your host, Blythe Whaley, and alongside me are filmmakers here from the first class. We're going to start with the director. It's Lee Hirsch. Thank you so much for being here.
It's a pleasure. It's great to be back.
Yeah, you've been here a few different times, so I just first want to start on, of course, you're coming back. So, what did you like about the Twin Cities Film Fest that made you want to come back here?
That's such a good question. I love the audiences, just the enthusiasm. I think the community that Twin Cities creates around film and independent cinema. It's always an honor to be here.
Like we said, we're glad you're here. I'm going to have you start by introducing who's alongside you and also maybe sharing just a brief synopsis of this.
Great. So I'm with two of the subjects of our film, the first class, Cedric Santana and Denise, who are here from Memphis.
Yeah.
And that's where our film takes place. We follow the story of the very first group of students at a brand new high school in Memphis, Tennessee. And it's called Crosstown High. And so we follow them over their 4-year journey as like both they're kind of growing up and the school is coming into its own as well.
Yeah.
And the school is quite remarkable. It's the most diverse school in the history of Memphis, both racially, socioeconomically, but more than that even, they have like a totally new approach to learning. So it's not like any of the other traditional schools or what we probably remember from our high school experience. So students are learning by like very in-depth projects. They're working together. They're solving problems that matter to them in the community. And some of that you see in the film. And that's a kind of a brief overview.
Well, I appreciate that. And I, of course, want to ask you guys what that was like having the cameras around while you were experiencing your 4 years through the school.
So it was very, to be quite honest, it was very stressful. We've been followed around ever since ninth grade up to my senior year of high school. I've had the cameras on me ever since then, and sometimes I loved it, sometimes I didn't. But at the time, I saw it as is the people that followed me with the cameras and everything, including Lee, they became family. So after they followed me a lot, we hung out a lot. Even after they cut the cameras off, we talked, and possibly cut the camera back on, and we talked again. But it was nice at the end. It was nice.
And then I also want to ask you, too.
Well, for me, I kind of like staying a little bit in the background with everything, even in school. So it was a little bit scary to be pushed into the, come here, we're gonna put you in the camera, Denise. And I'm just like, okay. But in a way, it was intimidating. But also because it's crosstown, you kind of get used to it, and you're just like, oh yeah, it's part of crosstown. So you kind of get used to it eventually.
No, that's interesting. I'm glad you guys shared your
It's hard
experience.
to be the subject of a documentary film.
Right.
Like, we ask a lot of people, and sometimes you always have to hold the mirror to yourself. Like, how would you feel if somebody was there as you were like struggling and also whatever else is going on? So I just applaud these guys so much for their like courage and their openness and their like grace, really, in being part of this, right? Like, we can't make documentaries if we don't have really powerful and positive relationships and honor the stories of the contributors who were privileged enough to tell their stories.
And what was maybe something that you took out of this experience? Of course, you have created other documentaries, but maybe what made this one stand out to you?
Well, I think that's a great question. I think for me, this is like kind of a film that has a lot of love and positivity inside of it. And a lot of times we make documentaries about big problems in society or things that are just super wrong. And it was very nice to kind of turn the lens on a school and a group of people that I just adored and thought they were trying really hard to do something really also that was very hard and do it really differently. And then to see the convictions that everybody had to that success just like stand, is something that I hold on to, right? I also like have never I've never made a film that's funny before, and this film is actually kind of funny, and like that is just purely because of the spirit of the people in the film, and so that is something very different for me. Yeah.
No, that's really neat. And you guys, as you think about what it's like now having cameras off of you and what it's like going back to life without all of that surrounding you throughout these years, what has maybe been the adjustment or how do you adjust going forward?
So just to get it straight, you asking like how have I adjusted between the cameras being on me and the cameras not? Um,
You miss
man,
me.
I think yeah, like completely. I miss Lee a lot. But it's so funny because my Denise has asked me this like in the past when we were in school. She was like, "Hey, where are the cameras?" I'm like, "You know what? I forgot the cameras not around me. Where are the cameras?" You know, um, she always picks on me a lot about that. But as I look back and I in that moment, I felt like kind of sad because I'm like I miss my camera people. Like I said previously, we became family, and it's just like Lee travels a lot, like a lot. So anytime I try to get contact with him, we have different hours. He's probably asleep, I'm probably awake, and then when he's awake, I'm probably asleep, and then it's a lot. But I think adjustment. It was kind of it wasn't as difficult. It was normal really. The cameras came one day, the cameras left. I was it was easy. How about
You were still you, is what it sounds like. But yes. But Denise, do you have anything to add to that? How your experience was?
Most of it I just saw it through Cedric, but yeah, it was sometimes it was a little bit odd for me to like see him 1 minute be like, oh wait, my mic is on. Let me go make sure they're not hearing me say anything embarrassing, or come back and be like, oh yeah, I'm not mic'd up today. I'll be like, okay. But at the end of the day, dude, because of crosstown, you really never really leaves you because people still ask you, well, what it's like? How is it like? What are you doing? What what is it gonna be? And at the end of the day, they do come up with the film. When is it coming out? So at the end of the day, it's just kind of a big merge that you get used to. But yeah.
No, that's true. I could see how that would be. But Lee, when you think about documentaries, and I'm sure trying to figure out which ones you want to be a part of coming up, is there anything that's resonated with you after the first class that you're looking to get into next?
That's like I think that's the question that gives filmmakers the most stress. I will say that I just learned about a very beautiful story that a few years ago I traveled with my last film, Bully, to Ukraine and got to work with some human rights workers and like people connected to the sort of film and human rights world over there. And literally, like, I just learned last week or a few days ago about group of students in a very bombed out community that are working to restore a cinema and create that as a community space and a place for healing and storytelling. And I'm kind of like, ooh, like that could be really amazing. So, that's how it works, right? Like, hopefully that lands into something, and maybe that's the next project. And if not, I'm going to help them raise money to make it anyway. So, yeah.
And for you guys, you talked about obviously when the cameras are off of you and what that experience is like. Do you look to try to find more ways that you can be in front of the camera in some capacity?
So what's so funny about that is because back in high school when the cameras was on me like 24/7 almost, 7 days a week. I kid you not. Um, I kind of we had like did they call it like electives in school? Yeah. So we had like
X
electives.
projects.
I s-
They
mm,
changed the name around
yeah.
all the time.
But anyway, we had this like extra classes that we took. Um, and what's so unique about our school is because those extra classes were like filmmaking classes to even like the people that were filming us, they would teach people behind it, like behind the camera. And I always wanted to do that. I was always in front of the camera, like most of my life. I've acted in theaters and everything. I'm always in front of cameras, always in front of audiences. I want to be behind it. So I took a part of that class, and it was just so. I think it was so amazing, and I actually got like my. I actually got inspired by Denise here for taking pictures and videos on my phone, and I think I'd rather be behind the camera than in front of the camera, like but I'm totally cool being in front of the camera. But behind the camera, it seems more dope being behind the camera than in front of it, most definitely. So that's how I feel about it.
Well, it's neat that you're finding on both sides of it. Obviously, there's enjoyment. Denise, how about you?
I'm just behind the scenes like always. I'm always a little ghost, so I think I'm not really looking to be big attention. But it was fun. Yeah, just be behind the scenes. Just be regular for now. Kind of boring, but yeah.
Well, that's too funny. You guys are awesome. I've
Thank you.
appreciated you being on the red carpet with
Pleasure
me
to be
for your
here.
film, The First
Thanks, Al.
Class. You guys, way to go. Excited to see your film here on the big screen, but thanks, you guys.
Thank you. Great job.
You guys, we will be back here on the Twin Cities Film Fest red carpet with more awesome filmmakers that you've seen earlier today. Thanks, guys.